The NBA trade deadline is coming up, and it looks like we're going to see some significant movement. So let's look at some trades that could be coming to the NBA very, very soon. But if you guys like my content, smash that like button. I'm actually going to try and get another video out to you guys today. So if you guys are excited for that, tell me in the comments below, and let's get into this. We've already seen a pretty big trade go down leading up to this deadline. The Milwaukee Bucks are really trying to make a run at the title and decided to trade for Houston's PJ Tucker. Houston sent Tucker and Karooks to the Milwaukee Bucks on Friday for DJ Augustine, DJ Wilson, and the Bucks' first-round pick in 2023. Houston also received the right to swap their 2021 second-round pick for Milwaukee's 2021 second-round pick. Aside from getting Tucker and Karooks, Milwaukee also reacquired their 2022 first-round pick from Houston, which it had obtained from Cleveland via a 4-team trade earlier in the year. Over the last few years, PJ Tucker has been a big part of Houston's success, and while we've seen pretty significant regression from him so far this year, I still think he's going to be a huge addition for this Milwaukee team, especially in the playoffs. This team is really starting to heat up, and this addition is only going to make them better. So the NBA community really likes to speculate on a lot of future outcomes. Who's going to be traded? Who are the top contenders for MVP? Everyone has their opinion, and that's great, but at the end of the day, Vegas is always going to be closest to the truth. Say what you want, but when money is on the line, things get a lot more serious. So personally, I like to look at the Las Vegas odds to get a good representation on who's the most likely to win an award or get traded. Right now, out of all the notable names that Vegas has made trade odds for, the only player currently that is more likely to get traded than not is going to be Redick of the New Orleans Pelicans. Right now, his odds at getting traded are -120 or 0.8 to 1. Redick is a common name brought up in trade rumors practically every season, with the value he can bring as one of the most consistent three-point shooters we've ever seen. Now, we don't have any super strong rumors connecting him to any particular team. Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer reported that a couple teams are looking to improve their playoff standing. Dallas and Denver have at least expressed some interest in Redick. Right now, the Dallas Mavericks are fighting for a playoff spot in the West and have really missed the shooting of Seth Curry, so their interest makes a lot of sense. The Nuggets are a team that it seems have reported interest in just about every player likely to be on the move at the deadline, so it's no surprise their name was put in the hat. The next player with the best odds to be traded is Victor Oladipo of the Houston Rockets at +110. Now, honestly, these odds seem pretty good. I really can't imagine him remaining on this roster past the deadline. This one has seemed inevitable for a while now, and as we talked about in several recent videos, there's a lot of teams with reported interest. Brian Windhorst of ESPN reported that the Rockets are seeking a first-round pick, but the price tag for Oladipo is quote-unquote really not that high right now. He also reported on the Knicks' interest, something we've heard a lot of, but a surprise one is the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons currently sit with just 12 wins and are the last seed in the Eastern Conference. Oladipo is a free agent this summer. This move would make absolutely 0 sense, and I really mean 0, but it's the Pistons, so I really wouldn't be that shocked. We've been talking about the Warriors' interest, but it came out that the Rockets were seeking one of Wiseman or the Timberwolves' first-round pick, an asking price that was clearly a conversation ender. If I were to put money on an Oladipo trade, I really think it'd be to New York for a protected future first and some combination of their young assets like Obi Toppin, Kevin Knox, and Frank Ntilikina. I really think this would just be a great move for the Knicks given the position they are in to finally put up a fight in the playoffs. Next up, we've got another member of the Houston Rockets, and Eric Gordon, whose odds to be traded are currently at +125. So far this year, he's been averaging 18 points, shooting 43% from the field and 33% from three. Not quite the efficiency we want to see, but we know what he's capable of, and he can be a difference maker in that six-man role for a lot of contenders. Adrian Wojnarowski reported that there's been a great deal of interest for Eric Gordon leading up to the deadline. If this report is true, it's actually pretty surprising in my opinion, considering his contract. He's 32 years old, and he's owed $20 million in the 2024 season. If I'm a GM, I'm staying away from that. That's a lot to take on, so it's hard to imagine the Rockets really getting much back in return from him, but some teams have come up, including the 76ers, Warriors, and Nuggets, none of which really sound like a great landing spot, all things considered. Then we have probably the biggest name with decent odds to be traded this week, Kyle Lowry at +150. We actually have odds on Lowry's landing spots in the event that he's traded. The Philadelphia 76ers will be the clear favorite at even, then the Clippers at +250, then the Heat at +450, and then any other team being +800. Kyle Lowry, despite being 34 years old, is having a great season and could be a game-changing addition for some of these teams. He's averaging 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists, shooting 44% from the field and 39% from 3. More importantly, the risk of taking on Kyle Lowry is pretty low, with him being on the last year of his contract, and that makes it also a lot easier to get a deal done. Now, I've seen some of the NBA community talk about a Lowry trade, mainly 76ers fans, but I don't think most realize the likelihood that he is actually traded. Now, for the Raptors, it really makes no sense for them to hold on to him. Re-signing him this offseason really doesn't make any sense either, so they really should just get the value out of him while they can. They've been one of the biggest disappointments this season with a record of just 17-25. Now, the team odds I listed were from about a month ago, but I still think the odds are pretty similar to what they are today, maybe with the exception that I think the Heat are starting to heat up in the conversation. Brian Windhorst reported that the Miami Heat, quote-unquote, covet Lowry in a potential trade. This one's interesting after the Heat have really turned everything around. The 76ers would definitely be my favorite landing spot. They currently sit as the top seed in the East, and they've got a tough journey ahead with the Nets and Bucks. The only thing for them is, what does a Philly Lowry trade look like? It would most likely have to include Danny Green and then some combination of their young players like Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle and draft compensation. Then we've got Andre Drummond at plus 175. Now, I don't think this one's as exciting as some of the others. We're seeing some rumors of teams like the Mavericks having interest in a trade for Drummond, but the more interesting Drummond scenarios are actually going to come from him not being traded and then the Cavs reaching a buyout agreement and he can go to a team that otherwise couldn't land him, such as the Lakers and Nets. The last of the players with even decent odds to be traded is going to be a guy talked about a lot right now, Lonzo Ball at plus 175. The Lonzo Ball trade saga has been a lot to follow. We saw all the rumors that the Pelicans were shopping him at the beginning of the season, but then he started to play so well that it really looked like they were going to get behind him as their future point guard. But that success got so consistent that practically every game that went by, his price tag for his new contract just started getting higher and higher, to the point where the Pelicans might not be able to match some of the offers that could come his way, making a trade at the deadline much more likely. Now, what's weird about a Lonzo trade is, what is he going to go for? We just got the report yesterday that the Chicago Bulls offered Thomas Satoransky in second-round picks. That is just disrespectful. He's averaging 14 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds, shooting 39% from 3. If Lonzo goes for around that price, I would be absolutely shocked. I think the teams with interest in Lonzo have become pretty clear as we get closer to the deadline. We are hearing about the Hawks' interest, the Clippers' buzz has really heated up, and we've known about these Knicks rumors for a while now. The Hawks I would just absolutely love. Despite their recent success, my opinion is very, very clear. The system of having Trae Young take on all these ball handling duties, I just really think caps their upside. Lonzo's skill set would really make up for most of Trae Young's faults. Based on that offer from the Bulls, a lot of these trades are a lot more interesting based on what he could go for. I don't think we're going to see him go that low, but I'm really starting to think his price is much lower than most initially thought. The Clippers one's interesting with their chance to be playing deep into the playoffs, but when all these rumors were heating up, I struggled to see how they could get a package together with very little young assets and almost no draft picks. If the Pelicans have interest in Luke Kennard, then it's pretty simple, but with the contract he is on and averaging just 8 points a game this season, it's hard to imagine something like that happening. I think the most likely scenario for Lonzo landing up on the Clippers would be a 3-team trade. If Lonzo is actually moved, I think it'd be the Knicks, as I think they're the most likely to offer proper value, as it's been well reported that they're going to be targeting him heavy in free agency, thinking he could be a cornerstone of their future going forward. Then you've got the dark horse of the Hornets, who already have his brother, star rookie LaMelo Ball. Adding Lonzo would be one of the most fun additions we've ever seen. I think Rozier would have to be moved for this to happen. Now, things have changed a little bit with LaMelo going down with injury, and while Alonzo-LaMelo fit isn't great on paper, the NBA is a business, and this trade would guarantee this team some nice value going forward. So out of the semi to big names, the ones we have mentioned so far in this video are the players where it just wouldn't be surprising to see them move. After them, the odds jump up to plus 350, where we've got DeMar DeRozan. Kevin Love is also going to be right there at plus 350. But there's still some huge names with not likely odds, but I think higher than most realize. Vegas is giving Zach LaVine plus 500 odds, a guy that this season is averaging an insane 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, shooting 53% from the field and 43% from 3. He's a player I would just love to see prove himself on a real contender. You've got Kristaps at plus 650. We saw rumors of the Warriors having interest. I really just don't see that happening. The only way I see Kristaps being moved if the Mavericks were getting a blockbuster return. Then you've got Bradley Beal at plus 700. He was one of the most common names in the trade market for most of the season, but that's really cooled down. It honestly sucks though. It's about time we get the chance to see Beal on a team that's not named the Washington Wizards. Another surprising one is CJ McCollum at plus 750. He's averaging 24 points, shooting 43% from 3 on 11 attempts a game. But it is hard to imagine him getting traded right now with 3 years left on his deal. It'd be a massive trade considering the Blazers are still having a decent season, tied with the Nuggets for the 5th seed in the West. Then you've got Rozier at plus 750. Following the injury of LaMelo, I really couldn't see him getting traded with the chance that the Hornets have to still make a run in the playoff. Lastly, we've got Ben Simmons at plus 1400. He's not going to be traded. There's just no way that's happening. I want to know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. What did Vegas get wrong? Who do you think is going to be traded at the deadline? And if you guys like the video, smash that like button, and I'll see you guys next time.